As we touched on at the start of the show, a report claims that police forces in England and Wales have spent £66,000 over a 3-year period on LGBT-themed merchandise. The money was spent between 2019 and 2022 and showed that an exact total of £66,689 was spent on items such as rainbow whistles, rainbow key rings, rainbow shoelaces, pens and lip balm. So the Taxpayers Alliance are behind the investigation, and their investigations campaign manager, Elliot Keck, joins me now. Welcome, Elliot. Thank you for coming. So you conducted this report and you found out the extent of the spending that's going on here. Can you give us some details about this?
Well, it's the first time I've had a round of applause being on GBNews, actually, so that was a nice touch.
Oh, that was nice, yeah.
But,
we tried to massage your ego.
Yeah. So we have there's this term in journalism called colour. So this is used to refer to the additional detail that sort of brings to life a story, and I think there's absolutely tons here, and it's pretty shocking. This is not just sort of, a rainbow flag to fly above the Forces headquarters during Pride Month. There is a absolutely huge amount here. It's about 66 grand, and there's some really, really brightly coloured items there.
So, is the lip balm rainbow
Yeah,
coloured?
lip balm. So apparently it's, so I think that was Lancashire Police got rainbow coloured lip balm. Northamptonshire Police got rainbow coloured selfie frames. Kent Police got 2 types of rainbow pens, a curvy pen and a grip pen. And then my favourite, Wiltshire Police bought something called a rainbow fuzzy bug, which I actually don't know what it is.
I'm sure it's essential in the, the pursuit of
I'm sure
criminals.
It's vital to fighting crime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting because we've all seen the sort of livery and the rainbow cars. We've all seen police officers doing the Macarena at Pride marches. Haven't they got better things to do?
Well, one does wonder. I mean, the stats on crime are really actually quite appalling. So only 5% of crimes in the latest year were led to a charge.
Yeah.
That was down from about 15% 7 years ago, and crime is up about sort of 5-6% since before the pandemic. So,
yes.
Clearly there is a lot for the police to be getting on with. And when you have a culture in which they're going out buying rainbow fuzzy bugs, rainbow sporks, rainbow water bottles, you do have to wonder if there's something wrong there.
I still want to know what a rainbow fuzzy bug is.
I looked it up and I couldn't quite find it exactly.
Yeah. But who's asking for all this stuff? I mean, I just can't imagine gay police officers saying they need to be validated by key rings.
Well, I think this is probably part of a theme that you touch on a lot in your show, which is the taking over of our institutions by HR departments, diversity departments, staffed with people that maybe got degrees that haven't led them to the fruitful employment that they were hoping.
Do you think that's all it is? People trying to remain relevant and justify their salaries?
Well, I certainly hope that it's not the actual police chiefs and the police officers themselves that are buying this.
Yeah.
It would be a bit more reassuring if it was the relatively useless back office staff.
Yes, I mean, I suppose they have to go along with it, don't they, the police? They don't really have a choice. Although, did they have to do the TikTok dances and that kind of thing? Or is that feels like that's coming from them?
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
But then what do we do about this? Because ultimately there is a serious point here, which is that the Progress Pride flag, which isn't just the rainbow flag, which always used to be associated with gay rights, it's the one with the extra chevrons, the extra symbols, the big
circles in there.
There's a circle for intersex rights. Someone put an umbrella in recently for sex workers' rights. So the whole thing is a big mess. It's really ugly. It's an absolute shambles, and you would expect gay people to be able to colour coordinate, but apparently not. And the thing about that flag is actually it has a kind of ideological meaning.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean equality for all, as the rainbow flag used to mean. The Progress Pride flag is a particularly identitarian movement, which is ideological in nature, and many people interpret as being anti-gay and anti-women. So aren't they sort of picking sides in a really sort of dodgy culture war?
Yeah, I think that's a concern. And by definition, a rainbow includes all colours of the spectrum, right? So you think it sort of serves a purpose. And it's actually costing the public institutions quite a lot of money, because if you keep on updating the flag every year, you have to keep on buying a new flag every year because the old one is no good anymore.
Well, maybe that's the point. There's a sort of financial element.
Yeah.
But, when they put all those Progress Pride flags all the way down Regent Street in that very sort of austere way, very scary, militaristic kind of way, and a lot of feminists who I've spoken to, a lot of gay people who I've spoken to, they say that pride, that flag does not represent them and is actually openly hostile towards them. And aren't the police supposed to serve without fear or favour? Aren't they supposed to be impartial?
Well, absolutely. And I think this is why, this spending really needs to stop, because if it starts to go into a certain commitment to an ideological cause, which can be very controversial or, cause problems for many, many people, that's when it really needs to be cut out.
Do you think some of this is coming from the College of Policing? I mean, again, this is the Quango, of course, that runs the training for all police officers, and they have for years insisted on certain things such as non-crime hate incidents, such as the idea that someone from a protected characteristic can perceive that something has been hurtful and based on prejudice, and therefore it gets logged as a hate incident.
Yeah.
Right, and they were told by the Home Office to stop doing this. They were told by the courts, the High Court said this is unlawful, and they carried on. on, and it's only really now, you've had Chris Philp recently saying he's going to make sure chief constables stop doing it. But is it just the case that the police themselves are now completely ideologically captured, and this is another sign of that?
Well, I certainly hope it's not too late, and I certainly hope that something can be done. I mean, College of Policing is certainly a problem. We did an investigation that basically uncovered their inclusive language guides, all the different instructions to police forces about their terms and phrases that they are and aren't allowed to use. But, I mean, I certainly hope that something can be done. I mean, we've always called for what we call a bonfire of the quangos, which is where you scrap a lot of these bodies and bring it under more direct control of ministers, because the problem is if you create a quango for every single issue or cause or whatever it is, it's very difficult for ministers to get under control.
Because it's not just the quangos, it's the civil service as well, and it does feel a lot like the machinery of government is captured, and that the government seems to be a little bit impotent to do anything about it.
Well, extraordinary. I mean, 12 years of Conservative government and police forces are buying rainbow fuzzy bugs.
Right, but that's my point, is that doesn't feel like a very Conservative thing to do.
No, it doesn't, no.
So where are the Tories on this? You know, again and again we keep hearing about what Keir Starmer's Labour Party will do and how they will escalate all of this because they don't know what a woman is, for instance. You know, at a very basic level. They're not going to get these cultural matters sorted. But really, all of this has happened under the Tories' watch, frankly.
Well, yeah, it has. And I mean, you know, whoever is in government next time after the next election should be looking at this sort of spending and thinking, actually, is this really a priority, regardless of what you think of the specific diversity agenda? And
your job at the Taxpayers Alliance is really to identify where the most egregious examples of public spending. Is this the worst that you've seen?
It's definitely some of the more colourful. Yeah, I mean, it's not the largest amount in total. It's £66,000 over 3 years. Which, let's not beat around the bush. It's not a huge amount of money, but in terms of the actual nature of what they bought and the sheer pointlessness of it. And the pointlessness to I mean, it's just so obvious to everybody.
But it's the principle rather than the amount,
It is the principle,
isn't it?
and it's the attitude that it represents.
If they were spending a lot of money on, Che Guevara T-shirts or something like that, then we would also have a problem with that, wouldn't we? Because it would be them showing a sort of...
well, maybe that's my next research project.
Well, do you think they're actually doing that?
Well, I certainly hope not.
So do you have hope that this will... that actually drawing attention to this kind of thing in the way that you have will put pressure on the police maybe to change their ways?
I certainly hope so, and I think any government that comes in and any minister that comes in, no matter what they think of this, as I said, no matter what they think of this agenda, given the enormous problems that this country faces and that the police faces, they should be able to look at this and think, actually, would this money be better spent elsewhere?
But do you think part of it is a concern that they don't want to appear to be homophobic, and maybe they have failed in the past when it comes to certain minority issues? That's definitely been the case. So maybe there's a kind of overcorrection here. There's a kind of...
Yeah, that's certainly possible. I'm not sure rainbow fuzzy bugs will actually solve the issue, though.
No. Well, look, one day, Elliot, you'll come back on and we'll find one of these bugs.
Yes.
And we'll discuss it, because I have no idea what they look like.
No, me neither.
No. So. Well, Elliot Keck, thank you very much.